Hi friends, I am very happy today that I go to talk about the major concerns of the poem, namely Ode to the West Wind by P.B. Shelley. As you know that this is a unique poem in many ways. This is a poem which is based on political system of the then society, but in literature it has a great influence. This is the poem which is concerned with the day to day life of the common people. This is the poem which tries to awake the people from their political slumber. This is the poem which aspirates the idea of hope for the betterment in the people. This is the poem which is just to motivate the poem to think and create something new. It is why I have described this poem to be a unique one. I do not think that this poem is to be discussed just from the poetry composition point of view. No doubt, it is one of the finest poems ever written in English literature. It has so many ramifications to take into account. So we can say that it is a poem which is concerned with poetry or art of writing or literature. This is the poem which is concerned with the political deadlock. This is the poem which is concerned with the change of the political system. This is the poem which is for the pavement of democracy in the world. This is the poem which is for the common people to change their way of living. It is why I am very happy today that I talk about all these things as the concerns of Ode to the West Wind. We should at the very outset know that it is the poem being composed in 1819 and published in 1820. It is what is factual information regarding this poem. We already know that Shelley is a revolutionary poet, that his idea of revolution is to be found in his another poem also. But here, his sense of revolution becomes more influential. And this poem completely establishes him to be a revolutionary poet. This is a poem which makes appeals to the west wind to destroy everything old and defunct. So, the west wind is instrumental to destroy everything that is not functional. Or we should not carry on the thing which is dysfunctional in our life, because we find that those things become meaningless. And so to carry on the things which are meaningless is a meaningless exercise, which is just going to be a waste, complete waste of time, energy of the people. We know that this is the time when the world was watching very clearly the repercussion due to French Revolution in Europe. And we can also say that historically and politically too, it was a milestone for the development of the concept of democratic and liberal norms and for ideal society. So here the people were made realize that they are settled in the very much dysfunctional political system and they need freedom and calmness in their lives. Now, they are shackled in the chains of materialistic pursuits. But that is not enough for the common people. We cannot live with materialistic pursuits at the cost of individual freedom. So, when we keep materialistic pursuit vis-a-vis individual freedom, we find that individual freedom is the most inevitable thing that we people need in our life. So, the poet has raised the voice to end monarchy. And so people should also realize that monarchy is no longer a functional political system. So they should raise their voice to end monarchy as well. The poet knows that it is not an easy work. Unless people are awakened, they cannot stand against monarchy because it is deeply rooted and the system, no matter how dysfunctional is, cannot be rooted out without awakening in the masses. So actually people do not realize the dysfunctions of monarchy. They were still in the slumbers. They did not realize the very much value of freedom and peace for their individual progress. And so the poet thinks it essential to awake the people against all the drawbacks of monarchy and merits of freedom and peace. Now, what would be the best thing to make the instrument and for the easy understanding of the people than the power of the west wind? We have already found that the west wind has power enough to destroy everything that is dysfunctional, destroy everything which stops progress, and destroy everything which stops birth of new life. So we find him appealing to the west wind to make him as powerful as itself. Why? There is a reason behind this, that he wants to spread his ideas and thoughts across the globe. But he is not powerful enough as is the west wind. So there is an appeal to the west wind to make him powerful as west wind is, that he could spread the ideas and thoughts of democracy, of peace, of freedom across the globe. Now, through the very much metaphorical explanation of the power of west wind. He is easily trying to make people convince of the individual capacity that he has. Everybody is capable of, and everybody is powerful enough to do something spectacular, to do something miraculous. But it is the point of realization, it is the point of awakening. If we realize our own power with which naturally we are gifted, we can certainly make the wall swim of all the dead habits. The poet has tried to show the power of wind. We have earlier discussed all these things. However, we can say that west wind drives away the dead leaves, places new seeds in the earth. So here, when west wind drives away the dead leaves, it is the very much destructive work which is essential positive that the west wind is doing, and it also paves the way for the new seeds to germinate. It brings thunderstorms with it and can make mighty waves in the oceans. Just to imagine how much powerful west wind is. And if this power is applied to spread the idea and thought of democracy in the world, no power is able to stop that idea from spreading, and people will be definitely awakened. So it spreads the ideas in the world as it drives the dead leaves, clouds, and waves. So the poet wants the help of the west wind. And he also asks west wind to make him its musical instrument harp and play the tune of his ideas of bringing change to make the world hear them. So why the angle of musical instrument has been included, and why does poet wish to make himself musical instrument and harp? Because it is the melodious system in the name of democracy. When we realize the significance of freedom and peace, we are into the realm of musical influence. And we know that the poet is trying to sing the song of democracy, freedom, and peace, because the poet tries to make people understand how musical it is to be in the realm of music. And democracy is as sweet as music. Freedom is as sweet as music. And peace is as sweet as music. So if the west wind is making him harp, he will be able to play the tunes of his idea of bringing change, and change for democracy, change for freedom, and change for what? Prosperity of the people. We also know that there are good times, there are bad times in the life of each and every person. And so, even in nature, we can feel that there is a cycle of good time, there is a cycle of bad time. We simply cannot stop them. It is within nature that it happens. So the west wind of autumn brings winter, which is the sign of death. West wind is capable of bringing out everything, the death and life. We can say when it is autumn, which is all owing to west wind, it is just a symbol for death. That is equally important. We cannot say that dead is unacceptable. If you stop that process of death, we simply cannot hope for life. So if there is no autumn, there is no possibility of spring as well. Because it is from the womb of autumn, spring comes out. It is from the womb of death, life comes out. So the wind is capable of bringing both autumn and spring. So it is capable of bringing both death and life, construction, destruction and construction. Without destruction, construction cannot go on. So if you think that we should only construct and construct, there will be a stage where there is no scope for further construction. So at that stage, we need destruction of the thing which has already been done, because those things have become dysfunctional. So even in human life, we know that when our body becomes dysfunctional, it is meaningless to carry on for carry on's sake. There is no significance of this kind of thing, and we stop the natural process of life and death too, and there will be no further life. So it is that very power of west wind that it may bring ray of hope when spring comes, when good time comes, and it is equally important that we need passing through autumn where something is destroyed. So there is a region of death of old convention and defunct norms. So there is a very good argument made by P.V. Shelley to prove the essentiality of death and destruction too through the west wind. We cannot hope all the time that there should be only good thing in our life. It is not possible. It is never happening that we can expect only good things and only good things happen. We can say that we are passing through different sorts of experiences. Maybe those experiences are shocking, maybe those experiences are just pleasant. But we have to face, because even shocking experience is giving some seed into our mind to generate something new. So here we can say, after the death of old ideas, the spring will bring the flowers of freedom, peace, and change will bloom. We find a spring brings out lots of changes. Lots of flowers are blooming. And it is all because of the thing that before spring it was autumn, which has completely destroyed the things which were stopping the blooming of flowers. So here he sees that monarchic system is materialistic and immoral. It has become dysfunctional. So it should be stopped. And people will break the chains of slavery and set themselves free. And for that, there is a need for revolution. And we can bring out revolution when we are just as much powerful as is the west wind. Because here, when we invite a kind of revolution, we have to destroy so many things. We have to destroy our lives also, our comforts also. So only then we can hope for just something new to come. And it is the sacrifice, it is the just a destruction that is to come during revolution. And so we can say West Wind is influencer, brings positive change, and it is the breath of autumn, a magician who drives away the evil spirit. It is in this sense we can talk about West Wind, that influencer in the sense that it brings out positive change, it influences positive change to come, it breathes autumn, and it is just like a magician who is supposed to drive away the evil spirits, and it is both destroy and preserver. So it destroys everything and affects nature. It also helps to create a new life, as it helps to blow away the seeds and land them on the safe place. So seed is very much there, but if it is not carried on by west wind, it cannot come to the place to germinate. So seeds in the flowers cannot bloom, cannot germinate. So it is once again west wind which carries out seed to the safe place, to the earth where it is going to germinate. Now we find that it is a very good idea and concern that the poet has in this poem, and I became pleasant to discuss all this kind of thing. Thank you.